So here's something you probably don't hear very often. If you're watching this, there's a good chance you're not the type of person who needs another mindset video, another course, or another productivity hack. In fact, if I had to guess, you probably already know more than most of the people who are making more money than you, because you've already read a bunch of books. You've watched a ton of webinars. You've even built your own funnels. But even after all that, something still isn't clicking. And I want you to hear this loud and clear. It's not because you're missing some secret tactic. It's because you're operating from a structure that's rigged against your success. Let me explain. See, this isn't about how smart you are. It's not about how skilled you are, how much you learned, or how hard you work. It's about structure, the internal structure you're operating from. Because what most high-level entrepreneurs are running on, whether they realize it or not, is bold action and fast feedback. Launch, learn, iterate, and then they repeat this whole cycle until they have a winning product or a winning approach. But people like you, and I could say us because I used to have the same mentality as well, but you built a different structure. You built a structure of understanding first, action later. You created safety through knowledge. And I get it. That's how you survived school. That's how you built your sense of control, through understanding first before jumping in. And that may have gotten you far in life. But now, that same structure is capping your income, because your internal rule still says, until I feel fully prepared, I'll keep learning. But that belief is on its head, because until you take action, you'll never be fully prepared. You cannot learn all the necessary elements of your journey simply from books and courses. I just saw a YouTube short the other day of Leila Hormozi saying that she doesn't read business books anymore. She said for someone her caliber, because she's actually a beast when it comes to building businesses, she said it's almost embarrassing how little she reads business books anymore, because she said the reason why is because they replace everything with testing. If they get some ideas, they test it, and that's how they improve. They implement every new idea, and they get feedback faster than any competitor, and that's how they get ahead. But if you take the let me figure out everything on paper first approach, then you will always find one more thing to optimize before you take your first step, one more module to review, one more book to read. Meanwhile, the guy with half your IQ is already 6 clients ahead of you. Why? Well, not because they are smarter than you or better or more skilled. It's simply that they have a different structure. Believe it or not, this pattern shows up even in people who seem confident. Take Mel Robbins, for example, before she became the 5-second rule lady. She was also stuck in what she called her professional student phase. Always reading, always researching, always planning her next career move, but never actually doing it. And what's wild is she wasn't lazy. She was just scared. Deep down, she didn't trust she was capable enough of following through. So she did what most smart people would do. She was hiding in preparation, in overthinking, in getting ready. She had all the tools, all the knowledge, but none of the momentum, because her structure was, I will act once I'm certain I won't fail. And that's the trap. And it's the same one a lot of entrepreneurs are stuck in today. Not because they are broken or there's something wrong with them, but because they are trying to drown their fear in knowledge instead of simply shifting their structure. And that brings me to why this keeps happening on a deeper level, why even when you know what to do, you still can't seem to move. Let's break it down even further. From a structural standpoint, you're living inside a loop that says, I need to feel fully confident before I can make real money. But your unconscious doesn't care what you want. It doesn't care how many affirmations you tape to your mirror. It produces what your structure supports. Think of it like this. 2 points create structural tension, where you are now and where you want to be. If that tension is clear, that structure will pull you toward the goal. But most people don't hold the tension. And see, that's the key. You have to be comfortable with tension, but most people aren't. Instead, they collapse it. They set an intention, and once they start going for what they want, they start doubting themselves. I'm not confident enough yet. I need to rework my branding. Maybe I should build a new lead magnet first. Sounds familiar? Well, it's completely natural to want to collapse it by trying to figure it out logically, but I promise you, you just have to hang with the tension regardless. Just leave the baby crying. You just need to have total clarity on what you want, commit to getting it, have courage to take action towards it, and that's how capability shows up. These are the 4 C's of creation: clarity, commitment, courage, and capability. That's how you rewire your nervous system. Let's talk a bit about what this structure is costing you, not just emotionally, but financially. Because the truth is, this identity pattern of prep first, act later has a price tag to it. Weeks and months of lost momentum, brilliant ideas that never leave your desk, high-ticket clients going to someone less qualified but more visible, and that sinking feeling of watching someone with less knowledge take the stage, both literally and figuratively. I remember in my networking days, I once went to a training event, and during one of the recognition sessions, a bold, tattooed-up guy took the stage, couldn't even speak English. He didn't even seem to know what event he was attending, and yet there he was, taking recognition for a pretty substantial leadership level. And I remember sitting in the crowd thinking, him? He's gonna outpace me? But guess what? He did. Because while I was preparing and trying to learn all the ins and outs of the industry, he was busy working. That's why at these training events, they kept repeating the phrase, ignorance on fire is better than knowledge on ice. And even though it makes complete sense to me now, back then I felt it was so unfair. But it's true. The world doesn't reward the most prepared, the most knowledgeable. It rewards the most aligned person. And action is part of that alignment. And if I were you, don't just take this as some vague motivational fluff, because this shift alone can unlock tens of thousands in income for you. Not by doing more, but by finally letting your genius lead instead of waiting for others' permission. So what does this actually look like when you change it? Well, here's the path I take my clients through. Step 1, choose a true end result. Not one that fixes a fear, not so I don't feel broke or so I feel worthy, but one that reflects what you actually want to create. Step 2, step into the identity of the version of you who already has it. Not someday, now. You start making decisions from that version, not toward it. Step 3, remove the resistance between the 2 points. Now that's where the superconscious recode comes in. We speak directly to the part of your unconscious that's been trying to protect you. We don't override it or use willpower to wrestle with it. We simply update the instructions so it finally sees that it's safe to succeed. Here's a metaphor I like. Your current identity is like a thermostat. If you try to heat the room too fast, the system kicks in and brings the temperature right back down. That's your unconscious keeping you at your safe income level. And the recode updates that thermostat, so your success stops triggering shutdowns. And that's when everything starts to feel easier. Not because you suddenly got smarter, but because your structure finally doesn't pull you back anymore. Now, if you're still watching this and something inside you is going, damn, he's describing me, that's not a coincidence. I lived this pattern for years. I gathered knowledge like it was gold. I convinced myself that if I could just learn one more thing, then I would finally feel ready. Meanwhile, I was watching louder, flashier people take up all the space. Not because they were smarter than me, but because they weren't stuck trying to earn permission. And once I recognized this and I started dissolving this fear of not being capable, this belief that I organized my entire identity around, everything started changing for me immediately. It was like turning the lights on in a room I didn't even realize I was trapped in. And that's what I help my clients do inside my program. If you're ready to finally get paid for the brilliance you've already earned, click the link below and join my free Skool community. There's a step-by-step training in there on how to do it exactly, and it's all free for now. And if you'd like an outside perspective, someone to point out where your limitations are and work with you to knock down those walls that keep you trapped in, feel free to book a call so we can chat. I promise you, once you shift into a creative structure by removing all your fears of not being capable and simply going for what you want, your whole life can change in a heartbeat. Because it's not about self-development, it's about creative development. You need to learn how to create. There's nothing wrong with you. You just need to operate in the right structure and all your end results will flow easily. And I'd like to help you with that. So join my free community, check out the course, and feel free to book a call where we take a deep dive into your patterns so you can leave them behind and finally create a life you love. In your business, in relationships, in your health, basically in all areas of your life. Remember, the next level isn't in another book. It's in a different structure. Let's build it together. I'll see you in the next one.